It is week 3 of PFR on Lakeshore PBS. Tonight we get you ready as conference season starts tomorrow night with a lot of big games, Wayne.
Yeah, a lot of big games, and we had kind of some surprises last week.
We always do.
What do you think that was the biggest surprise?
I thought the biggest surprise was Hobart beating LaPorte.
Oh, I was too. I was surprised that Hobart played that well, and LaPorte, just did not didn't get there the first quarter.
You don't know from week 1 to week 2. Really, you don't get a good feel till week 4 or 5. But we'll have all that coming up and much more on Lakeshore PBS.
Program support comes from NIPSCO.
Honey, who is this guy?
Oh, that's Frank. Hey, Frank.
Honey, why is Frank in our bedroom?
He's showing us ways to save money. Plus, he'll even help us install LED bulbs and new shower heads.
Oh, well, he is leaving before I shower, though, right?
To schedule an energy assessment and learn more about energy usage, visit NIPSCO.com.
Frank, could you hand me a towel?
Alrighty, it is PFR on Lakeshore PBS. Let's get it rolling tonight with a look back at week 2 of the high school football season. It's time for week 2 PFR Rewind. All right, another great edition of PFR Rewind. Yep. Now it's to look at some of our outstanding players of the week. We start first with the offensive players of the week. Many players of the week, Wayne. Sam Ehrlich of Hobart, the quarterback, had a big night, 3 touchdowns, ran the ball very effectively. And Tavion Walker had a great night.
Wow, he had a good night. 229 yards and 2 TDs. Ethan DeGrasse from Lowell came back from a little bit of a suspension and really played well.
Lowell's often an impressive start. Their offense looks outstanding. Their defense has been really good. Did a great job on Maceo last week.
Yes, they did.
Jansky and company was outstanding. And Zach Merrill of Andrean, 13 of 15 for 160 yards, and they got a big game against New Prairie.
That's right.
Tomorrow.
And we've got one more that we just got information
Breaking
on.
news?
Yeah, breaking news. James DeLange.
James DeLange of
from
Hanover.
Hanover Central.
278 total yards.
And he only scored 6 TDs, 1 passing,
Yeah.
and 5 running.
That's pretty
What an outstanding job. James DeLange.
Defensive players of the week.
Hey, you've got to, give defense credit, Griffith's defense credit. Whiting held them to 59 total yards. And, that gives up that question, is Griffith that good? Or is kind of Whiting, kind of down this particular year?
Well, I think Griffith in 4A, I think they're good. I think that's what made Michigan City's win over them impressive in the first week. And Whiting's still a 2A school.
Yep, that's true.
But doesn't have the depth that a 4A school
That's
has.
right.
Al Vasquez.
Yes, from
of
Bishop Knoll.
Nice. 60-yard fumble return. Although Griffith, you could say it was depth, but they got taken out of it, Whiting, very early in that game.
Yes. Jake Mierski from Boone Grove. He had a 31-yard interception for a TD against River Forest.
River came back and won that game, right?
Yeah. And then Jared Cottrell from Griffith had a 28-yard interception for score versus Whiting.
Part of that Griffith defense.
Yep,
Definitely.
that's right.
Special teams players of the week, J.J. Wattis, 23-yard field goal.
And Braden Corzin from Chesterton, he had a blocked punt that led to a go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah, Chesterton always with outstanding special teams. And of course, the most coveted award in high school football in the great US of A. It's the unknown player of the week on PFR.
Sal?
Yeah, Sal.
Valley?
I would say Valley, right?
Yeah.
If it was
Of
Val,
Homer?
it'd be
would say that
V-A-L-E, right?
I'll say that.
But I didn't
Sal
teach. I didn't
Valley.
teach English for 35 years either. Though.
Homer, 40, but that's okay. 3 TDs for Sal.
You were cruising those last 5 years. I know you were.
Versus Laporte. Ryan Walsh from Andrean had 100 yards and 2 TDs versus Bishop Knoll.
And there's Josiah Zambrana of River. A couple of big rushing TDs in their win over Boone.
And Dylan Paul from Boone Grove was 13 of 15 for 188 yards versus River Forest.
All right. The only polls that matter, the 2 biggest polls in high school football. We'll start first with the little 5.
Hey, you've got Wheeler at number 5, had a tough one this week. Whiting at number 4, and they really need to rebound. Rensselaer is just, cruising along here, 2-0. Knox is 2-0, playing very well. And Hanover Central is really playing well right now.
Something's got to give because Knox has been really impressive. Culver, I think, is who they got this week. They've had 2 straight shutouts.
Yes.
Rensselaer and the Jays, what used to be a great rivalry. We'll see if the
yes.
Jays can compete and hold their own with Rensselaer. And Whiting looking to rebound.
Yep.
All right, time now for the all-important PFR Top 10.
Hey, you're looking at number 10, New Prairie in our poll. 1-1 on the season. They lost to LaPorte, but they blew out South Bend Clay.
How close will this
73 to
game
nothing.
be tomorrow night, New Prairie and Andrean?
Oh, this is going to be a good one. I really think that this is going to be a good one because New Prairie they've got their quarterback back, and he is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got
Hobart,
Hobart.
but moves
number
back
9.
in, huh?
Yep, it sure does. You got to. You beat LaPorte. Crown Point playing very well. Got a win last week. Michigan City played the number 1 team in Illinois, Homewood Flossmoor. So they've got some motivation because they didn't play very well. Griffith, nice job last week, and they're 1-1. LaPorte, really, the LaPorte-Valpo game is a huge game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's going to go a long way probably to decide the Duneland Conference title.
Chesterton is surprised. 2-0 at this point in the season.
Still somewhat unknown,
Yep, that's right.
but we'll see. I mean, we'll find out a lot about them tomorrow night.
Yes,
I think.
we will. And Andrean, a big one against New Prairie, is 2-0, and Lowell just keeps chugging along. And I like the way that they're, running the ball, but also throwing the ball very well.
They look like a well-rounded football
Yeah,
team.
I agree.
mean, there's been years where they really didn't have a passing game.
Right.
Can't say that this year.
Right.
They got weapons. They've got multiple weapons. They got a good-looking defense who can go side to side on the field like they did last week. So Lowell has been very impressive. They got to stay away from that injury bug.
Yes, that's true.
And number one, Wayne.
Again this week, the Valparaiso Vikings, 2-0, did a heck of a job against Mishawaka. 31-7 they beat them. They limited Mishawaka, who had scored 47 the week before against Portage, to only 7 points. That's fantastic.
Huge.
That
Great
is huge.
couple weeks for Valpo. Their defense has been outstanding. And we'll see. They'll be tested again tomorrow night when they take on
the road.
LaPorte. It's becoming a staple of PFR and a favorite segment. It's time for Mascot Madness on PFR.
Some people thought that it came about right around World War II with B-52s, but actually it was something that came about through our basketball program. Coach Slim Bosman was the basketball coach, and we were still known at that time as the Indians. And we had a couple of good basketball teams that had some really good long-range basketball shooters. In terms of basketball, you know, a bomber, it could refer to someone being a long-range shooter, someone that, you know, dropping bombs from way outside. Bosman's Bombers in the newspaper articles. And it kind of went from there, and a couple of years later, it kind of made a transition somehow, some way to the Bombers from the Indians. Our art teacher, Roger Beeler, had a contest for our students to come up with the mascots. Nancy Johnson was the one that came up with the original Bomber mascot, and it's kind of stuck. That Bomber mascot we still use today. It was developed by our student body. We've had several different variations of our Bomber, kind of known here as the Bomber Boy or Bomber Bob or whatever. It's a unique kind of mascot, and I think the people around here really owned it. There's not really another one close by that we know of that people call themselves, so we take a lot of pride in that, being a little bit different.
You know, I want to know the research that all these athletic directors have to do for
Yeah.
this segment.
It is great.
It is great. Hey,
I love it.
Dr. Buffington, the superintendent of Hobart, tweeted out the Bricky story last week.
Oh,
From
really?
her Twitter account for the school corporation.
It's a good segment. I like this.
I think
The
it's
Bombers.
awesome. All right, something else that's awesome is PFR game night, 6 o'clock, 10:30 on 89.1 FM, Lakeshore Public Radio. Wayne Sutnoff and Tommy Williams take you through the evening with reports from all across Northwest Indiana with high school football. So definitely tune in and listen to them. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow night live at 10:30 with PFR School Board right here on Lakeshore PBS. Time now for another edition of Throwback Thursday. Now let's check it out. All right, we go back to 2007, the Hobart Brickies. Then, of course, the Kings of Northwest Indiana football taking on the Crown Point Bulldogs. The Brickies were up 10 points, but Crown Point would come back. They forced a safety to turn it into a 1-point game right there. Crown Point would rally from here and have the ball with seconds to go, and a game-winning Mike Lipton field goal gave Crown Point a 22-20 win.
Hey, I give Justin credit with this going into the archives and digging up all these games.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Definitely. All right, time for a timeout. We'll be right back with our game of the week. Or we're not going to have our promo. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It is time now for game of the week.
Valparaiso is preparing for their Duneland Conference opener against LaPorte on Friday. They come into that matchup 2-0 after, of course, beating a couple of pretty good teams, Mishawaka last week, and we say Penn the week before that. Dave Coyle is the head coach of Valparaiso. And, Coach, are you guys still on cloud nine after that Penn win during week one?
No, there's no time to be on cloud nine. The schedule that we have is brutal, and we were back at work literally an hour after each of the games because of who we're playing and what we're doing in a tough Duneland Conference. So
let's talk about life as a Valparaiso coach these days. You're 2-0, and going into the Duneland Conference schedule with momentum. How important is that to have that momentum going into a tough schedule?
Well, there's no question the schedule's tough. Having momentum on your side is always a great thing, but as I've told the players, we need to make sure that we understand that each week is a different opponent. We need to come in focused on Monday, not waste a day, get after it. We have tremendous respect for everybody that we're playing, and we know how hard the schedule is, and I think they're doing a good job mentally.
Let's go back to last week. You played a Mishawaka team that put big numbers on Portage the week before. You hold them to only 7 points. How impressive is that?
Well, I can't say enough about Coach Bernardi, Coach Marshall. We go all the way down their staff, Ippolito, Shara, and everybody that works so hard with them, Burford. And they've just done a tremendous job. They've done a lot of hard work, paid off in the offseason. We knew we were going to face two offensive juggernauts running the option, and that was our bulk of what we tried to work on this summer. So I was very pleased to see that. We're going to have another extremely tough test this Friday night with, of course, LaPorte, and what Coach Sharp does over there. He's done a nice job with that program, and it's a challenge. So by no means do we have time to sit around and pat ourselves on the back too much. We got to get after it again.
Okay, let's move forward now to LaPorte. They've got a pretty good quarterback themselves.
Yes, they do. I mean, they've got that, I call it the four-headed monster since Coach Sharp's taken over. It's very difficult to sit through and watch that film over and over, and you got it on slow mode, and sometimes you still can't tell who's got the ball. So, of course, defensive assignments become extremely, extremely important. And with the tight splits, I mean, that offense is set to get you 2 yards every play, you know. So it's going to be a work of art to try and make sure that the defense stays on task. And offensively, we're going to have to do ball control and try and keep them off the field as much as possible to help our defense out.
Thanks a lot for your time.
You got it. Thank you for everything you guys do.
Thank you for being a part of the program. All righty, on to LaPorte for the Slicers look at this matchup coming up on Friday between Valparaiso and LaPorte. And as promised, we're at LaPorte to get the Slicers' bird's eye view of Friday's matchup between Valparaiso and the Slicers. And we've got their coach, Dave Sharp, here. And, Coach, I can imagine practice was pretty good after the disappointment last Friday.
Yeah, we've had a good week thus far. Coming off of a tough loss at Hobart, the kids are pretty self-motivated to show everybody that we can do a little bit better this coming Friday.
Now, I know you don't want to give away too much, but what did you see on the tape against Hobart that you want to improve this week?
Right. We usually don't lose a game the first quarter, but I felt we really did lose the game the first quarter. Our offense was getting 2 yards a pop instead of 4 yards a pop, and for us that's instant death. So Hobart was able to force us into a couple of 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, and we couldn't convert those. And when we don't have the ball, we're not very good. And we didn't have the ball in the first half, and Hobart got out to a nice lead, and we couldn't quite scratch back into the game.
Which is surprising because you have a pretty dynamic quarterback, and I'm sure you expect him to have his A game coming up on Friday.
Oh yeah, we have a very good player, Nolan Lorenz. He's the leader of our team, and against New Prairie, week 1, New Prairie is a great opponent. Nolan had a heck of a game. We converted a bunch of 3rd downs. We had some long sustaining drives, and that's how we win football games here. We play keep away, and we definitely want to play keep away from this great Valpo offense.
You'll have a tough game, period, because your next opponent, the Valparaiso Vikings, are pretty good this year and have one heck of a resume.
Yeah, I think it all starts with them with Jake LeFew, their quarterback. I don't know how he stays so calm on the field. I wish I knew the secret, because I'm going crazy on the sidelines, and he's just so collected out there, and he's put such good velocity on his short passes, and he can beat you deep, and he's a better runner than he gets credit for also. And Valpo will give you a lot of formations. They give you a lot to prepare for offensively. And defensively, the same thing. We expect to see a lot of stemming and some shifting from their defensive front, and I know they'll mix up some blitzes and that sort of thing. So it's a fun team to prepare for because of how well coached they are. We gotta have our A game.
You had a pretty good run of the Duneland last year. Do you feel the same type confidence that this team could get it done this year?
Yeah, the team's very confident. Now we got knocked on the head on Friday, and that was a good wake-up call, a good humbling experience. Hobart definitely outplayed us, and I still think we have a good dynamic here, and we can continue to improve each game.
Should be a pretty good game, Coach. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we wish you the best.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate the coverage.
Okay, Joe and Wayne, there you have it. The question now is, who do you got?
All right, we see the Game of the Week graphics that we have kind of outlined already in the interviews, Wayne. Coach Sharp dealing with some tough stuff this week. I know he was in Indianapolis with his son having surgery this week.
Yeah.
That's got to be rough.
That does have to be rough, and we wish him the best of luck with that.
And we also need to send some good wishes out to the Maryville football family. Raneel Williams, who used to play football for Maryville and now has been an Indiana State Trooper for 5 years, was injured in Indianapolis.
Oh, gee.
Seriously injured in a car accident down there, but his prognosis, from what I've read in the paper, is good.
Good. That's good.
So yeah, I mean, I saw that name and I'm like, wait, he used to play football for Maryville. So
Wow.
definitely wish him the best as well. Okay. There you see it. You are going to like Valpo because that's the kind of guy you are, picking the favorites. But, you know, you can't bet against Valpo's D so far
That's
this year.
right. I mean, you know, Valpo has played very well defensively. It's going to be defense, going to win the ball game. But you know LaPorte is going to run the football. So
Well, and you got to love Coach Sharp's candidness, saying we're not very good and we don't have the ball. And Valpo's going to probably get the ball back a lot for their offense.
Yeah.
So that'll make it more difficult for LaPorte defensively if you can't stop the Valpo offense.
And I don't know, does Valpo or LaPorte have a kicker? Because I think that may be a difference maker.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. It might be. I think, did Valpo miss a field goal or miss an extra point in the first game against Penn?
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, okay, I don't know. Okay, let's see your pick anyway.
I'm picking Valpo by a field goal. That's why I said that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm picking Valpo by a field goal. But remember now, this is at LaPorte,
Yep.
and LaPorte has something to prove.
I think they're honoring Jake. Jake's statue is going to be unveiled, I think, for, of course, LaPorte player who passed away a couple of years ago during practice. That's going to be over at Kiwanis tomorrow night. All right, time for Wayne's World. It's time for the picks for week 3 of the high school football season. All right, you got the hat on in time. The percentages still are not real good, which
No, 64, 60 is not.
isn't really a surprise, I guess.
But it's moving up. So these first 2
The
weeks
check
have been
mark
tough.
is at 50, Wayne, which is the over-under for the check mark.
I see. Who decided 50 was a good percentage?
That's what that's our resident statistician, and you're supposed to be over 70.
All right, for the week 3 games, I like Crown Point at home against Maryville. I like Lake Central to bounce back against Portage. You got 2 good players there, Maceo and for Portage, and Bundalo for Lake Central. And then I like Michigan City to bounce back because I'm sure Phil Mason had a real.
You know, the check mark thought long and hard about Maryville,
but didn't pick him.
but just couldn't pull the trigger. Not enough there offensively, and with Cameron Wilson banged up, the quarterback banged up last week, not knowing his prognosis.
That's right.
Couldn't go with the Pirates, Wayne.
Yep.
Even though their defense stepped up big last week.
Yes, they did. They played very well.
Any other check marks out there?
We've got Andrean over New Prairie, and I really think that Andrean is at home, but boy, New Prairie scored 73 against Clay last week. Unbelievable.
The check mark looked long and hard at the New Prairie game.
Lowell against Morton. I like Lowell, and then I like Highland to get a victory against Clark.
You like Hobart? The Bricks,
I do. I like
win.
the Bricks over West Side. I like Munster over East Chicago. I thought that they played very well against Chesterton, but Chesterton pulled it out in the 4th quarter. And I like KV over Hammond.
All right. Oh, the check mark
There
is
it
out
is,
for
right
the
there.
Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
I really think this is a toss-up game.
Yeah, I do. I agree. It's at Munster, but I really believe that East Chicago did not play well last week. So this is a pretty good toss-up game.
EC still kind of an unknown.
Right.
They had their way with the Indianapolis school and then played an Illinois school, so that's hard to
evaluate.
And I think this will be a close game, though.
I agree.
All right. Elsewhere, you like Newton.
I do. Their defense. I like North Newton's defense. They have, they gave up, 3 points and 7, in the last 2 weeks. South Central playing very well, and then Griffith over River Forest.
All right, is there a check mark there?
Uh-oh, the Gladiators.
Glads.
All right.
North Newton's really struggled offensively.
Yes.
Can they score enough to win this game? I don't know. Gavitt was decent against Bloom.
Yes, they were.
This could be a shootout. North Newton might lose a shootout.
Right.
Offensively, we'll see.
That could be.
All right, let's move on.
I like Hanover Central, who is just rolling over people
Yes.
right now.
Wheeler?
DeLang is unbelievable. Wheeler, I like them over Knoll, and I like Whiting to bounce back over Boone.
Okay. You like Winnemac?
I do. I like Winnemac over North White, Knox over Culver. I know Culver is playing well.
2 straight shutouts for
Boy,
Culver.
I'm telling you, Knox has some offensive power. And then there's Rensselaer, the Bombers.
That'll be an interesting game. North Judson had a tough opener. They got shut out, but then they bounced back last week.
This is a big rivalry, too.
Yes, it is. All right, you like Roosevelt to win.
I do like Roosevelt to get their second win of the season. I like Bowman to play well against another Indy team, Indy House.
Does Tommy give you any insight on the Roosevelt pick?
Not at all. I wish he would, but he does not.
All right, don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow night, live at 10:30 with PFR School Board. And for all your listening pleasure, the high school football scores from around Northwest Indiana, starting live at 6 p.m. to 10:30 on Lakeshore Public Radio, 89.1 FM on game night with Wayne and Tommy. It should be another big night.
It should be
of,
interesting.
Scores. And kudos to all those guys that call in and do some great work.
Boy, they really do.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Program support comes from NIPSCO.
Honey, who is this guy?
Oh, that's Frank. Hey, Frank.
Honey, why is Frank in our bedroom?
He's showing us ways to save money. Plus, he'll even help us install LED bulbs and new shower heads.
Oh, well, he is leaving before I shower, though, right?
To schedule an energy assessment and learn more about energy usage, visit NIPSCO.com.
Frank, could you hand me a towel?